What's cracking, everybody? Zerafel Rose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Welcome to Season 13, Season of Mythical Wishes. And in this first video of the season, we are going to be talking about an Open Great League team, Pelipper. Now, you may remember Pelipper from back many seasons ago when the Weather Ball was the meta. And this is basically Pelipper Double Steel. You could definitely run this with a different steel than Registeel. This is just the one that I happen to have lying around. Early season, run what you want, who cares? G-Fisk functions as the safe swap on this team, and Pelipper just got the buff to wing attack, meaning its weather balls are going to come out that much quicker, and so is a Hurricane that got basically an extra energy every time you use a wing attack. So instead of 7 energy, you get 8, which means you're going to get to those charge moves just a little bit quicker, and it's going to be impactful. And we're going to jump into these battles, and you're going to see just exactly how strong Pelipper seems to have gotten, and it's going to be absolute meta, folks, in this new Season 13 meta going forward. So we get a decent lead into Victory Bell. It's not great, but, you know, I can get the shields off of it at least, but the opponent immediately swaps into Deoxys, and I'm going to chip it with a Weather Ball here because I can, and because I need to ensure that I'm going to get Switch here, because I need to absolutely make sure that we're getting the Registeel on the Victory Bell, especially because I'm also expecting there to be a Bastion on the back. I want to make sure that my Registeel is also poised to deal with a Bastion if it comes in. So we're going to let the opponent see what they're going to do, and they just go straight Psycho Boost here. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The Psycho Boost is only single resisted, so going for a Psycho Boost and second Psycho Boost. I overfarm waiting for them to get to that second Psycho Boost, so that I can just overfarm as much as I can, go for the Earthquake, make sure I get the KO, have a ton of energy left over in case that Victory Bell wants to come back in, and it probably will. So I'm going to go and just go up for the Earthquake. I'm only getting to one move here, so I'm going to go straight for the Hail Mary Earthquake here. Probably going to get a shield, and then I'm going to let my Pelipper come in or Registeel, but opponent doesn't even bother to shield it, and then they've got a Bastion in the back. So I'm going to get to this Earthquake before they can smack me down. And then the game is pretty much set in stone at this point. Registeel with 2 shields can easily get to 2 Focus Blasts against the Bastion, and that's all. So while we're waiting for these shields to come out, I want to take a quick moment to shout out my patron supporters. You guys are a fantastic group of people, and I could not hope to make this journey with any other group of people. You guys are just astounding, and group is always open as well. If you are looking to join the Patreon Discord, where I have not only the greatest group of people that I could have in this community, but also you're going to get unlimited access to myself, my tips, tricks, early analysis on metas, basically everything under the sun to get better at GBL, which is what the entire group focuses on, is getting better at the game, not just getting teams and playing them and seeing, oh hey, you know, I got to expert. It's not only is about getting to the next rank, it's also about going further, and we're all about that, as well as just being an awesome community. So link in the description for that if you're interested in that kind of thing. And if you're looking for any sort of coaching, I'm on Medify. Just check out the link in the description as well for that. Now, we're going to hop into this next battle here where we've got a G-Fisk on the lead, and this is actually a really good matchup for Pelipper. Both Pokemon live one charge move. I live a Rock Slide, they live a Weather Ball. But thanks to Wing Attack's new update, I'm going to be able to outpace them to these Weather Balls now. So if we both shield, look at that. By the time they get to the point where they can, I get to another Weather Ball, they're going to be dangerously close to being just tanking another one. So I'm going to shield because I have a feeling that either my Pelipper may be useful in the end game here, because if they're staying in and shielding, there's a very solid chance that my Pelipper might be useful later. So I want to keep it somewhat healthy or force my opponent to burn their shields if they want to stay in here. And I also can't swap in either G-Fisk or Registeel, especially down energy, or, you know, at this point, it wouldn't be a very smart thing to do. So I'm going to purposely start throwing on CMP here. And what I'm going to look to do is I'm going to try to get their last shield, which I do. I'm going to shield myself, and then I'm going to look to catch a Rock Slide on my Stunfisk. So you're going to see me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the wing attacks. I'm going to overfarm instead of just going for the KO, because I want to have extra energy, but my opponent swapped into Skarmory to try and soak my Weather Ball. And unfortunately, they have also now been locked into a matchup against G-Fisk. Now, I want to take a moment to really highlight that this is like why we don't safe swap things like Bastion and Skarmory, because your opponent can easily counter them if they have a hard answer and completely abuse you for energy. I'm going to be able to leave this matchup with over 50 plus energy. I'm basically going to have whatever 100 energy is minus a Rock Slide. So probably better not to do that in the future if you're playing in the Great League or any other league. To be honest, if you have a very linear Pokemon like, you know, Skarmory gets completely walled by a whole type, just don't save swap it. Build your teams otherwise. Another huge reason why my Patreon Discord is a benefit, because I'm really good at team building and I help folks really just hone in and get the good teams going. So Rock Slide, like I said, gonna be leaving with so much energy that it really is kind of disgusting. And they come with Cresselia. I'm gonna throw an Earthquake. I'm not gonna bother baiting. There's no reason to. Just gonna go straight for the damage here, and that's it. Just gonna go for a Rock Slide. Gonna keep going for, not gonna go for the, I'm gonna go for the Earthquake, and then we're gonna see if I can get to another Earthquake. The opponent is looking to go for the hard farm down, but little do they know I have Registeel in the back, which essentially puts this all unlocked. My Pelipper has a Weather Ball loaded. My Registeel is ready to roll. There's unfortunately not a whole lot my opponent can do here, because even with a G-Fisk, they're only at a Rock Slide, so I know that they still have a little bit of ways to go before they can get to the Earthquake. And so what I do here is actually kind of rude. I look to catch the Earthquake on my Pelipper, and I do, and Pelipper does live it, and we're going to be able to get this Weather Ball off. And I think if I were the opponent at this point, I'd probably be throwing my phone out the window. So, well played to my opponent. Sorry to do that to you, but I just, sometimes it just feels like I gotta do it. So it is what it is. Sometimes you catch, sometimes you don't. We catch, speaking of, a good lead in this game against a Medicham, and my opponent is staying in, which is very interesting to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight for the Hurricane if they don't throw before I do, and I'm pretty sure Pelipper wins CMP. They overfarm past it anyway, so they're looking to just go for energy here. I'm going to throw the Hurricane, and they're going to shield it, which normally wouldn't be a big deal to me, but I was kind of hoping to get the Medicham off the table, because it really, I can't let my Registeel or my G-Fisk against this thing, kind of like the G-Fisk lead. I have to win this lead, and we CMP. So I'm expecting this to be a Psychic. I'm expecting them to try and, you know, go like with a bait and then go for the Psychic. I'm just going to shield this up. I'm not, the range that the Medicham is at would be good for a farm if they weren't hitting me for super effective counter damage, and I had no fast move pressure to farm down with. I have Mud Shot and I have Lock On. Not ideal situations for me to farm with. So if the opponent comes in with a Lantern, and for some reason I just sit here and take these moves, I bank a Hurricane and I catch a Surf on my Registeel. I don't really know what the right move would have been here, but Registeel is going to have to deal with this Lantern. I'm going to go for Zap Cannon here, because I want to get the attack drop, potentially. And, I mean, I'm just hoping to get a shield. Honestly, I'm just hoping to get a shield, because what this means is if my opponent has something in the back that is going to essentially allow my G-Fist to come out with some energy, then I'm going to be able to also hit that Lantern with an Earthquake. That's kind of my hope at the end of this game here. So opponent's going to go for the Thunderbolt. Not quite going to be able to KO. And right before I'm going down, I'm going to be able to get to this Focus Blast, which is huge, because that's going to chunk this Lantern down to the point where even Pelipper's Hurricane could probably take it out. And so I'm going to come in with G-Fisk. I can live easily. I can live this. And I'm going to either go for a fairly hard farm down or go for this Rock Slide, because they're in Rock Slide range. So I'm not sure what I was thinking here, but I'm going to go for the Weather Ball. I was trying to think they were going to catch, so I instead try to catch on my Pelipper, and they've got a Noctowl. Now this is good, because Noctowl after a Weather Ball will not be able to tank 2 Rock Slides anymore, so that means that they're going to need 2 Shadow Balls to take me out, which they will not be able to get to in 4 wing attacks. So I'm going to go for the Rock Slide, eat the Shadow Ball that they're going to throw at me, and then the 2 Rock Slides that follow will KO the Noctowl, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. Kind of wild with the catches here in these early games. I'm used to trying to catch a lot. Some of you may know me very well when it comes to catching, because I tend to do it often. But sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you think it will. That was one of those situations, but thankfully still able to come back from that awkward situation and take it. Now, we've got a Noctowl in the lead, so which is very neutral, but I have 2 strong answers in the back, so I'm swapping out immediately into my G-Fisk, and my opponent answers with a Water Gun Lantern, which is not a great situation for me to be in, but because I'm able to get to the Rock Slide or able to get to an Earthquake long before they're able to get to a Surf, I'm going to try and bait here, and I successfully get the first shield. Now, my opponent may not know it, but they need Switch here. So I'm going to play to that advantage, and I'm going to go for another bait. I'm going to hope that maybe they just try to go for it, because I think that I lose this if I go for an Earthquake and it gets shielded at all. And thankfully my opponent does shield this. So this is a very easy path to victory here. Getting Switch is going to allow me to line my Registeel onto their Noctowl, and then whatever they've got in the back is just kind of SOL. Hopefully weak to Pelipper, or hopefully also weak to Registeel. I don't know yet. But we'll see. Usually Noctowl is loaded with something like a... Couldn't let it go, by the way. Usually has something like, you know, weak to Ghost, so you might see like Medicham or something in the back. So I'm going to try and get a move off here, but my opponent does go ahead and throw their Sky Attack before I get my Rock Slide off, which is good for them, but also good for me because that means they can't over farm. So I just come up with Registeel here, and I just go for the Zap Cannon, but for some reason I'm sitting here and thinking, oh, I'm expecting them to try and catch, so I'm just going to go for a bit of an over farm and try and react to the switch, and there's the catch, and I still throw Zap Cannon even though I'm literally looking in the top right corner waiting for them to switch, and my fingers were already in the motion to hit the Zap Cannon by the time they did it. I do get an attack drop, which is nice. That basically means that my Pelipper, I bring in my Pelipper to just do whatever damage I can. I know that Registeel would be very well suited to this matchup, but Pelipper has to get used somewhere, so I'm basically just going to farm all the way down if I can, because I am counting. They still need 5 more to get to the next Weather Ball, which my wing attacks are going to be able to KO before they get there. And I'm going to be able to go for this Hurricane against the Noctowl. And I'm going to try to get to a second one if I can. So, yeah, Hurricane does a lot of damage, and thankfully the wing attack buff allows me to get there sooner. Now, I think I could have gotten to a Hurricane there. I was 1 away, and I think I still live 1 more. But just to be safe, I'm going to go for the Weather Ball. Weather Ball KOs anyway, so it didn't really matter. So, well played to my opponent. Good game. And speaking of well played, spoiler alert, I lose this next one, but it's, I think it was winnable. So, they got a Talonflame in the lead. Very nice lead. They go to swap, and they bring in a Lantern. I quickly swap to my G-Fisk. It is a Spark Lantern, and I have, truthfully, never played this matchup before, and I should have played it just like the other matchup. I should have just gone double bait and go for the Earthquake. Instead, what I do is I try to go straight for an Earthquake, because I figure, okay, opponent might just call the bait here, and if I get, you know, if an Earthquake lands, that sucks. Ooh, excuse me, getting late here. And so they're gonna go, and I'm just gonna see, because I know they're doing double resisted spark damage, so I'm gonna see if I can maybe bait them and then get to this Earthquake. So I have to shield this up, and unfortunately this whole thing is what loses me the game here, is by not baiting twice and by taking these 2 Surfs, I've put myself into a range where these Sparks will KO me just before I get to the Earthquake. And unfortunately, that means I'm not going to be able to KO the Lantern, and then that just means this whole game gets spiraled out of control, because now, as you're going to see, the opponent is going to bring in their Talonflame to try and lure out my Pelipper once again. And I'm going to stay in like an idiot. I'm going to shield like an idiot. And I'm going to Zap Cannon the Talonflame. My opponent is basically trying to bait out my... they're trying to bait out my Pelipper here. And in doing so, they would have allowed their Lantern to get a full farm down, go for a couple Surfs, and KO my Registeel. So we can't let that go, even though I lose this, but absolutely cannot let that fly. So here they're going to come in with their Trevenant, and I am forced to come in here. Now, what I could have probably done was I could have probably farmed up a bunch more and come in with my Pelipper and then done the Hurricane. By the way, 1 shot. But I'm kind of hoping at this point that my Hurricane is going to be enough to maybe come close. I know it's not going to do enough. It was like 35-40%, but we're going to find out. Hurricane, not quite enough. And unfortunately, my opponent was going to get a full Spark down, and that's just... They got 2 Surfs at this point, and they're going to KO me. So, unfortunately, not able to clinch it there. The G-Fisk matchup was definitely something that I still need to master. Haven't really played it very much, as I really haven't played much G-Fisk, to be honest, either. I used to hate the thing, so I never really touched it until recently. But picked up this team, had a solid several sets with it, actually managed to record one, so figured I'd just throw it up on here on the old YouTubes as a good intro to Season 13. And you can look forward to another fantastic team. Next time it's going to be in the Remix Cup, my favorite team that I'm playing this week. to climb the ranks. Now, that's going to do it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.